Here we go with part two. Here we are coming back through Sun Valley on our way to Ketchum. Sun Valley's got some interesting history, though you'd never find a hint of it today. Apparently Sun Valley was established before Ketchum by at least 10-15 years. The gold rush started in 1870, which I don't know if you noticed, but when I was up at the creek, I mentioned that it looked like quartz veins would be a good area to look for gold. Apparently that's what they did. There's still a few cabins up in the mountains, obviously, as I mentioned, but it was a 4-mile hike and I did not bring the shoes for it. So Sun Valley, 1870 to 1880 for the gold rush. And then Ketchum started in 1880s with silver and lead. Of course, that was down the river. 1936, the area was spotted by Averell Harriman, who was a chairman for Union Pacific Railroad, and went ahead and started construction on what they called at the time America's St. Moritz, a skiing hotspot, first in the United States. Became famous for Hollywood stars such as Clark Gable, Ingrid Bergman, Marilyn Monroe, and of course Ernest Hemingway first visited in 1939 and lived out the rest of his days. Union Pacific owned it until 1977, and it was sold to Earl Holding at that time, and I don't know what or who owns it now. But the prior inhabitants, before all of this started, was the Shoshone tribe, Bannock, and Lemhi tribes. After making it back through Ketchum, found my way onto Warm Springs Road, which later down the way will turn into Ketchum Featherville Road. Obviously a short connecting cut for horses, wagons, probably all of that. A lot of these roads, you got to imagine that road ends up heading off to Interstate 93 to a place called Chalice and a little town called McKay. So we finally hit dirt. You noticed the ski resort as we were rolling through town. These roads are nice and smooth after the graders came through. I imagine in the summer it's nothing but dust, and in the winter it's nothing but mud. We'll probably get a little hint of that later. Started to sprinkle on me. I'm going to pull off here for a second. Okay, I really don't mean this to be an advertisement for Ketchum, Idaho, but since I'm here, I'm going to cruise around. This road is absolutely muddy and slick as snot, so I'm airing down, and we're going to go back at it. Onyx says this is a 1 out of 10, and in dry summer it probably is, but it's raining now, and it's rained the last few days, so the road is heck. And as you saw, there's graders that messed it all up, made it slick. So anyway, we're off and running. See what else this trail entails. All right, got our air down, heading back at it. There doesn't seem to be much on the road. I mean, it's freshly graded, yeah, but it's like 2 inches of muck, so it's not much, just a thin layer on top, but it is sure slick. Beautiful area. This road that goes to Fairfield, I believe, gosh, it's probably 80 miles, which would have been an extremely long commute for a horse or a wagon. But that's the only town out that way. And if you head on the pavement, it's a longer drive than that for sure. But this road, as you saw, was speed limit 25 miles an hour the whole way, which probably is because of how slick the road is, I imagine. And I don't know if they grade this in the winter, but there's cabins up and down this road. I can't imagine it would be a summer only deal. So they probably plow during the winter. It has to snow several feet up here in the winter. Has to. With the ski resort back there, I bet there's just walls of snow up here. Similar to what I experienced in Lake Tahoe when I lived there. So again, we're following a creek. You can see remnants of the old fire happened a few years ago. Didn't seem to decimate a whole bunch, but you get a glimpse of it here and there. Awesome area. You can also tell that the graders did not go this far.
Well, I'm running into some snow, but it's nothing to write home about. Just some light dusting here and there. I did want to stop at this place. The map calls it Castle Rock. Pretty cool. Rocks are awesome up here. Pretty cool area. I don't know how much farther I can go down to a quarter tank, but this road looks like it goes on forever. I don't have forever. Anywho, pretty cool. Castle Rock. It's more over there. Cool creek. I definitely don't have shoes for what I'm doing today, but didn't plan on it either. I can't sit in town. Gotta get out. Anyway, if I find something else interesting, I'll stop. Let you guys check it out.
So the creek we're following, or have been following, is called Warm Springs Creek. You'll get a hint of why here in a second. You see the steam coming off right there? This apparently is where a hot warm spring trickles into. You can see the little pools someone's made there. No parking to speak of. A little bit of up here around the corner. And then this is where the little neighborhood starts. Now, it was kind of strange to go 30 miles or so down a dirt road and find a little community down here where the speed limit was reduced from 25 to 15. It's kind of crazy. So I got a little bit of gas. I'm going to try this road. It was also highlighted on Onyx. See what I can see up here. This one was labeled a little bit more difficult. Steep climb, larger rocks, tighter road, obviously. A great area. Quite a few camp spots up here too, you'll notice. But as far as off-roading, overlanding, I imagine you could have done the 80-mile Ketchum to Fairfield. You could have went up, well, of course the gates closed at the top of Sun Valley from November 15th through, I think it was Memorial Day weekend. So that's out. Not a lot of off-road type stuff. It's mainly hiking, skiing, city stuff for the folks to do when they come into town. I'm not much for that kind of stuff. I'd rather be out here. It is November, but I bet you that these trees and the woods look much more brilliant in the summer and the spring and fall. Probably awesome colors. This road's got a creek that crosses it zigzag style. Creek that crosses the road, probably just from snow melt. Doesn't seem to be any year-round creek up here at all. Really interesting. It tightens up, you get into the trees, and then widens out, and you got a big opening and a field. Perfect place for wildlife, I would think. Looks to me like there's a road that went off to the left there at some point. Definitely not anymore. I don't know if these were logging roads, old mining roads, what they're from. There's another dip where the water comes through. And the valley's going to tighten up again. I don't know what folks do up here anymore, but I tell you what, Ketchum had more banks than general stores. I don't know what that says about a town. But I noticed that there was a bank here, a bank there, another bank. You can see here off to the right an old school water trough for livestock. But again, I mean, I've ran into a couple different places now where there seems to be remnants or essence of sign, rather, of people running livestock out here, but no gates, no fences. So if there is, I don't know how they're keeping them in there in one particular area. This road was a pretty steep climb for the distance it was. I want to say it's probably 2 miles. It should have gone 3 miles. Right here, you'll see it's the end of the line. Apparently, you're supposed to park here and walk the rest of the way. On the map, it continues for another mile, but I don't know anything about that.
Well, here we go. Someone marked this as the road continues. I guess that does look pretty fresh. I'll have to check the map and see when this was posted on Onyx. But I've ran into this several times with Onyx. Someone will highlight the trail, put their name on it, add a description, a couple photos, and they didn't even finish the road. They went halfway down and stopped. So like the road I was just on, continued for miles. I could have kept going all day if I had enough gas, but they stopped the highlights, so I wasn't expecting the road to continue until I actually was up there and zoomed in on it. But this one is definitely done, so I'm gonna have to get a hold of Onyx and let them know to stop this trail right here. Anyway, frustrating. Good little trail though. Keep wondering why I'm not seeing wildlife. It would appear someone's already seen them. This is the third pile of bones that I found. Imagine they're just taking the meat and leaving whatever behind.
Here we are heading back. It was a long day, lots of driving, both sides of Ketchum, full tank of gas. Great little area, lots to see obviously. If I'd have been here a little bit longer.
Speaking of bones, check this out. These are fairly fresh. It almost looked like they were buried. Well, there's definitely rocks on top of that jawbone. And those. I know mountain lions will cover their meat to hide it and save it for later. This is definitely not an animal that covered those. That was purposely put on there. Something's been chewing on that one a little bit, looks like. Interesting. And again, that's why I'm not seeing any animals.
And we continue on down the road. It always seems to look different when you're going back. I don't know, the road almost looked prettier visually. Heading back than up. Different angles. Lighting, perhaps. This was a gorgeous little camp spot around a huge old tree. Lots to do. This is something I didn't expect to see. No trucks. And I often wondered if I had passed them on the way up, but I don't think so. Uh-oh. Looks like the dogs are following me. I'm going to stop for a second so they don't chase me all the way down the road. They're happy. Stopped and talked to these folks for a minute. They were wondering where I was from because I had out-of-state plates, and I told them that I was down at the Haley Veterinary, Sun Valley. And they said, oh, you're having the LPVO surgery. And I said, yeah, how did you know that? They said, well, seems everybody comes up here for that. And boom, there's the road. So obviously I didn't pass them on the way up. But where the heck did they come from? I didn't see any vehicles. Yeah, the speed limit's here 25, but I'm not sure I would walk dogs unleashed down this road. Suppose they could have come from this cabin here. It's gotta be their place. Nice little cabin. Great area, decent road. I just wish I had the time to make it all the way to Fairfield. Didn't look like a whole lot of nothing in Fairfield, but I imagine there's some history there as well that we could have learned. I had a good time in Idaho. Only one day to gallivant, but I think it was a day well spent.